Hi, I'm Mark Mancini from VRBO Outstanding and Vacation Home Mastery. This week, we're going to deep dive part two into HostBuddy AI with our partner from HostBuddy AI, Jay. So stay tuned. And welcome back. Here we are with Jay from HostBuddy AI. Now, we did our first episode on HostBuddy and we talked about the direct booking and how we implemented it. And we actually went to the next step. We contacted Gil from Crafted Stays to build another website. We talked about having multiple websites so you can dominate the Google search field in your area. So Gil from Crafted Stage just launched a beach theme as one of his templates, and I was the first one on it. Thank you, Gil. And we went ahead and we embedded HostBuddy AI into the direct book site because that is what I focus on. That's what I teach is direct book. We're going to show you that, but we're also going to show you what I didn't show you with how it integrates with the platforms. So I've got Jay with me. Jay, give us a little rundown about yourself, and then we'll like to have you give the crowd a little tour of the HostBuddy AI that we did with Crafted Stays. So tell everyone about yourself.
Yeah, of course. Thanks, Mark, for having me. So I am the CEO and co-founder of HostBuddy AI. I am also a host, so I manage around 40 units in San Diego, California. I created the product with my co-founding team over a year ago. We were looking for a solution for our own rentals, and we couldn't find anything on the market that connected into our existing systems. Really, we just wanted to automate our entire messaging, our guest messaging process. We still use virtual assistants to this day, but when you can really just automate that process of responding to the repetitive messages that guests are sending, you can even now with AI troubleshoot a lot of things, support guests from their inquiry phase through the current phase, once they're in your property, and then even afterwards, you're making sure that they're completely covered during that entire process. So what we've been able to do is create extremely powerful AI messaging tool. There's a lot of additional things that we're doing with that now, which I'm sure we'll get into later. But we're very excited to continue showing our product to the rest of the STR world, and we think that this is going to be a really beneficial tool for all the hosts out there. So what Mark has done is something unique that a lot of our users jump right into doing direct AI guest communication. And what he's done is go the more pre-booking route and looking to assist his potential guests in getting in the door and securing those bookings. So direct on his site, let's see if I can share my screen here and we can kind of go through what that looks like.
And I will say this, Jay, is the speed in which I was able to implement HostBuddy AI because it integrates with my favorite PMS, Ownarez. I know you probably integrate with some other ones. Ownarez is used by more hosts than any other platform. I've been on for 7 years. I love it. But you integrate with others. So it brings all the information in and it actually parses all that data so that it learns without having to give out bad answers or having to learn on its own.
Yeah, the great thing about HostBuddy is that it's going to connect into your property management system, like you said. Ownarez is great. We love working with them. We connect through, I think, 9 or 10 more PMSs as well. A lot of the major ones on the market. It's going to understand all of your guest and reservation data, all your property information. It's going to have 6 months of conversational data as well. So any of those more repetitive messages that you've answered over the last 6 months, it's going to know that knowledge and be able to provide that to the guests that are staying with you. So we're jumping in here into Mark's direct booking site.
And this is, like I said, the brand new beach theme from Crafted Stays. And Gil Chan set this up with me, and he actually helped me integrate this HostBuddy. So go ahead and show them, Jay, what I'm excited about.
Yeah, so this is a little snapshot into what our I guess portal looks like, and what Gil at Crafted Stays has done is basically embedded this into the direct booking site, which is really cool. Down the line, we're going to have some more additional widgets that you can pop on your site, so definitely keep an eye out for that. But this is a really cool option, and it's super unique. I think Mark's now the only person that has this on his site. But basically what you can do is now chat with HostBuddy and ask it a bunch of questions. So Maybe let's ask it. Let's ask it about how many beds are in the property. We'll start with something easy. It's HostBuddy's built to make sure that it can answer all the questions that obviously you've been given through your PMS, but also use contextual data to respond efficiently. So, property has a total of 4 beds, 1 in the main house and 3 in the guest house. So, not just giving you the number, but also providing you the location of those is pretty cool. Mark, do you have another question I should ask?
I have one. Uh, I like the furniture in this house. Could I take some home with me? Be an
That's a good one.
interesting answer.
I'm glad you like the furniture. While we're thrilled you're enjoying the decor, I'm afraid the furniture needs to stay at the property for all our guests to enjoy.
And Jay, I've got to say, that's what I love about this product is that answer right there. Because instead of saying no, you cannot, and that just be it, it's so pleasant and spins it, in a way that's just more positive and friendly. So and we try to trip that up. I mean, how many people are going to ask that, right? But it's and you guys parse through what the descriptions, right? The conversations. What else do you parse through on the PMS side of things?
Yeah, so it's going to be every single piece of data that we can collect from the PMS, really. So every amenity that you have, it's going to know that. Um, yeah, obviously the conversational data. So if you have any specific details that you've provided on some particular nuanced situations with your guest, you can make sure that HostBuddy will have that information. So yeah, descriptions, amenities. Really, yeah, any details about the property that you provided through your PMS. What you can also do is upload a welcome document through a PDF or a document file, and HostBuddy will parse through that as well and make sure that it understands standard check-in procedures. You can also upload like SOP documents if that's something that you have during or in your property management company. So yeah, it's really cool how it collects all that information and it uses it to its advantage. And it's not going to just spit out a long message about all these different details. Like it really picks and chooses which one's the right one to use, and then yeah, it adds a friendly tone and some additional kind things as much as it can. So yeah, it's really great.
So I got to be honest. I'm going to share with you two things, and I'll even share with the audience. Okay, it's not going to be just us. So the first thing is before I sign up for your product, I was able to go to your website and test it out. Many chat AIs don't let you do that, but yours does. So I went in your website and I was brutal. You have an example home or two there, and it says, a little bit about the home. And so I try to ask it questions and try to trip it up. And I spent about 15, 20 minutes. I even got my wife, called her over. I said, Dolly, work with me. Come on, let's ask some questions and really. And I tried and I tried and I could not trip it up. So it was at that point that I'm like, I'm sold. It's only $7 per home per month. This is going to save us a lot of time, and it's going to be really nice because I don't know about you. I go to bed early. I'm in bed at 9. I wake up at 5 to go to the gym. So a lot of people, because I wake up to instant bookings, right? And a lot of people are searching and booking homes and asking questions 9 o'clock through midnight, and that's not a time I'm up and I'm not going to wake up to answer. And this is going to answer those. But this is not only for the direct book website like I have here in Crafted Stays. I missed out on the last video I did about this on really what this is really designed for are the platforms Airbnb, VRBO, and any other ones that have API integration, I guess. So Jay, I kind of want you to, in a sense, give a demo to everyone out there because this is the way your product is designed, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's great that you mentioned the initial chat feature that we put on our website because I do think we are the only AI messaging software that's put our AI on our front pages for anyone to use. That's how confident we are in our product, and it typically helps people understand how efficient and how well worded our responses are. So that's a huge point. And I think working with you, Mark, so far has been really cool because you've been able to highlight the importance of that conversion factor before guests are even booking. If you're not able to answer their questions late at night, they might just move on to the next property and then go and book somebody else or send them more messages and get
I'm
distracted.
gonna,
So
I'm gonna interrupt real quick there, Jay, and that's one thing because we're gonna be doing an episode in about a week or two on instant booking. Because as you know, many websites for years have a click now, instant checkout button, right? And that's designed because people don't want to wait. And I know there's people out there that say, but Mark, I just don't feel comfortable doing that. And we teach in the course in Vacation Home Mastery how to protect yourself so you don't have bad guests or how you can turn bad guests good. But the reality is if a guest cannot book right then and there, you don't realize this and you'll never know. They are already probably looking at another site, the same site, but a different home to find one where they can instant book that night and not wait for the vetting process, right? And so, it is important that they have someone they can ask questions to, even if it's just an AI, and they're comfortable enough with the answers to book direct in the middle of the night so you wake up and you have a smile on your face because you got $10,000 for a booking or $4,000, whatever you guys charge for a week stay. And that's where I think people are missing it. They don't know what they don't know. They don't understand that the instant booking is so important. And this is really going to take that to the next level. And as I said, there was two things I was fessing up. And this second thing was I was using your product wrong. So I'm going to shut up now, Jay. I apologize. I stepped in there, but I really want you to kind of show people the real desire. I mean, what you guys built this for, what your love of this was, because you wanted to reduce the banter back and forth with the platforms and people booking.
yeah, absolutely. So I'll jump over into our portal so we can get right into it. Like I said, I'm a host myself, so I do manage properties, and we use HostBuddy for our property management company. And so this is jumping right in here. We have the dashboard. So you're going to see how many messages have been sent, average response times, and then the guest sentiment level is something that we're measuring as well. So during a guest stay, if there's any open issues that the guest is expressing they're having a negative stay, and they're having major issues, that's going to pop up into a negative category. A lot of times, and I mean, I think you're successful as a host if a guest shows up and they don't even need to communicate with you. But there are all these other situations where guests need to ask questions or they're having trouble getting in, or, there's these things that AI can really take over. So, in that case where a guest doesn't ever say anything during their stay, it's going to be marked as neutral, which is good. So you kind of get a high level idea of what's going on at your property here, right in your dashboard. You can see the timing of messages sent during the day. But really the core functionality of our product is the messaging. So I'll jump into the properties page here, and you can kind of see how our entire portal is laid out. So as soon
And
as you
you've got
connect your
40, you got 40 properties, and just want to make sure everyone understands, for the property managers that are out there managing 40, 50, 100 homes, you do offer special pricing for them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it's a tiered pricing model, and I can pull up that pricing page towards the end. But yeah,
Or
the more
they'll
properties
reach
you
out
have,
to you and they'll work some magic with you.
yeah, 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 exactly. More properties you have, the cheaper it's going to be. So yeah, now we're at 40 properties around here. I think we have 30, maybe 38 on here. I just round up to 40. But when you go into the properties page here, you see all those properties that have been pulled in from your PMS. We are on Hostfully, so you can see we're connected there. But this is just basically a view of which properties are being responded to by the AI. So you can see all of our properties are plugged in here. And then essentially what you're going to do as soon as you connect your PMS, it's going to know all that information about your properties already in your guest conversation. But what you can do is go into your property profile, and this is the area where all of the data is stored. So you can see this is kind of just a breakdown of the knowledge base that HostBuddy is using to respond to your guests. It has the property details and availability, the guest and reservation data, and the past conversations. We also have a welcome document uploaded. That's just a PDF that we give to all of our guests. And then the property profile is the rest of this document. So We'll go through these and just show you guys kind of like a really quick idea of what it looks like. But essentially, you just add details for your booking. So I won't go into all the details about this, but basically, once you autofill, I'll go back to the front. So as soon as you hit this autofill button here, it's going to take all of these resources and autofill it through your property profile. So it would fill out which OTAs you're listed on, what's your cancellation policy, all these things, how far out can you book. You can add additional details like lockbox instructions and things like that. All the amenities are also stored here, so you can go and add information about the heating and the AC and the TV. And these things will also be autofilled if you have details about it coming from your PMS. So that's the greatest part. You can nearly upload your PMS and immediately start plugging in HostBuddy. Some people do that, especially if you have a lot of properties. If you have fewer and you want to really capitalize on the capabilities of HostBuddy and make sure you never have to talk to guests, you can go through it here and add additional details. So Wi-Fi, for example, if that's not something that you already put in your PMS, that's something you definitely want to be able to include. And then, yeah, all the other information is stored here. So it's really great how much it's really like an unlimited amount of information that you can include.
I mean, honestly, this took me about 2 minutes to set up. And the other thing too, I want to make sure you mention is, well, first, your platforms, right? Your Airbnb, your VRBO, your other ones, your API integrated with. Um, the thing is, maybe you're available to answer questions from 9 to 9. You can just have HostBuddy on and answering questions for you at night, right? You don't have to have it go 24/7, right?
Exactly. Yeah, so I'll show you what the schedule looks like because for my company in particular, we have it running 24/7. So you got 12 a.m. to 11:59 p.m. and you can change the reservation stages that it covers too. So if you only wanted to respond to current guests, you can do that. We have all three of those for every single day of the week. But yeah, you can add a separate shift and just say overnight. That's what we started with initially because we had our virtual assistants working for us during the day. I think if we had a fewer amount of properties, we maybe wouldn't need the virtual assistants at all because really what they're doing now for us is they're setting up our listings and they're coordinating maintenance and cleaners and things like that. And we're focusing on the HostBuddy software now. So it's great to kind of have that additional help. But now they don't even focus on the communications. They only jump in whenever there's any major issue that HostBuddy can't solve, and it's not super common. So I'll show you kind of where those things are stored in a minute.
Sure. I guess some people, I want to make sure they can understand exactly the flow. So remember, if you're API integrated, we'll just use Airbnb as an example or VRBO, whichever one's your favorite. I'm partial to VRBO. But when that message comes through to your PMS into your inbox, that's where HostBuddy AI kind of comes in there and answers them through there, correct? And then sends it back out to those platforms.
Yeah, so I guess definitely taking a step back and just kind of understanding how this all works. It's any booking that is connected to your PMS, HostBuddy is going to respond to for the hours that it's turned on for. So if
Florida
you have
Rentals, Booking.com, right?
Yep, exactly. Airbnb, VRBO, Booking.com, Google, all those different things. So even direct bookings, if the conversation is going through your PMS, then HostBuddy is going to respond. So that's the greatest part is that it's responding to everybody and not just your Airbnb bookings or just your VRBO bookings. So it's really the entire company is covered by HostBuddy as long as they're booking through your PMS, which is great.
Again, I just want to kind of emphasize for maybe people who don't have 40 properties in California like some people, but just have a couple. For what you're paying for the PMS, which automates all your processes, and then what it costs for the chatbot here. A lot of people talk about co-hosts, but really, if you've got somebody to respond to any message that comes through right away in a very smart, intelligent way, and look, I'm not going to denigrate anyone. The virtual assistants don't always reside in the U.S. Okay, and while their English and grammar may be good, there are certain colloquialisms that it's funny. I have for over 20 years, I have a developer I work with in India. And I remember one time early on, I said, well, just give me a ballpark. And he's like, I don't understand what you mean. So it's things like that where if someone says something like that, your virtual assistant, your virtual host may not necessarily know how to respond, whereas Host Buddy is based on the U.S. language, the American language, English. So, for what you're paying for that, you know, there is co-hosts that charge anything from 10 to 25%. And even if you're worried about pricing issues, even with Price Labs, if you want to integrate that, I think dollar for dollar with what you get and the control you have, and this never sleeps, right? The Host Buddy AI never sleeps. So I'm a big fan of this, and it's not that I don't like co-hosts. I just don't see a need for a co-host. So
Yeah, absolutely. And when you think about the response time, it's within minutes. It's realistically it's instant, but there's some slight delays with certain PMSs depending on it. So it'll take maybe a minute, maybe 2 minutes. But if that's information that sometimes VAs can take 10, 20 minutes depending on how many properties they're managing. So HostBuddy could take a message for every single property at the same time and spit it out within the same time frame, and potentially be much quicker. So another
awesome.
advantage to that. So what I want to show you guys, and I have some real conversations here we can pop into. I haven't really taken a look at what's going on this morning at our properties, but if you are somebody who wants to kind of try out AI, obviously we have our AI tool that you can use to test on our homepage. But if you wanted to plug in your properties and just see how the AI might potentially respond to your guests, the messaging area is a really great place to do that. So we call it our smart inbox, and I'll pop into here. Let's go into conversation that might have. I want to see if there's one that has any open issues right now. It looks like we've taken care of everything that we can. Um, but essentially, what you can do when you don't have it turned on to respond is there's this button down here where you can go and generate a response from scratch. It won't let me do it right now because we already responded. But essentially, if somebody had sent a message, we could, instead of having HostBuddy automatically respond, just generate our own. And then we can also generate from instructions. So if this is something where you can even use, if you have existing VAs. This is actually how we kind of introduced our VAs to using HostBuddy. Generate from my instruction. So they would type out their best response, and then they could click generate from my instruction, and it would beautify the message and make it sound much better. So you
Beautiful.
could say
I
something
love
really basic.
it.
Yeah, like I could say good morning. I don't even think I have to be grammatically correct. But now I can do generate from my instruction. It'll take a few seconds. And then it'll spit out something that's a little bit better than just good morning. We hope you enjoyed your time in San Diego. So it'll include their name and make it look nice. But it's not going to spit out an entire paragraph message, which is the best part about HostBuddy. It's going to sound like a human and not like it's just word dumping everything. So that's a really cool feature that we've added. This also just gives you a high level just understanding of kind of what's going on. So this entire portal is really just everything is connected, which is really cool. But you can see the satisfaction here. We have it's neutral because they didn't explicitly say I'm having a great time or I'm having a terrible time, but they mentioned that they checked out of the apartment and looks like that was relatively the only communication in the past few days. But essentially, if there is any sort of positive or negative satisfaction, it's going to pop up here too. And I'll go back into, I want to talk about the action items because that's something where people ask a lot. Like, what if HostBuddy can't answer the question that it's asked? Or what if it can't handle the issue? It's very rare that it can't answer a question, but if there is something that needs immediate physical attention from somebody at the property, like there's a major incident, a pipe burst or something like that. Um, HostBuddy will automatically generate an action item, and that will be put into the action items dashboard here. So you can see here are some just general examples. This person reported that there's missing curtains. This person said the coffee machine doesn't work. So obviously things you don't want to see at your property, but these are all listed inside of your action items board so that you can make sure that you're staying on top of these things. You can categorize it by maintenance, cleanliness concerns, anything like that, and make sure that you kind of, nothing slipping through the cracks, because sometimes people worry about if there's an AI just messaging all the time, it's not going to tell me what's going on. But every time that there's something like this where it needs to notify us, it's going to put it in this dashboard.
Well, you know what's cool is that you're a host yourself, and you know what hosts need. And there's often products that come out where if you're not in that vertical, they really don't understand how things work. And Jason, my background is I've been in IT for 40 years, ever since I was a teenager. So um, what people don't get is oftentimes developers come in and try to code something and really don't have, they've never been there, right? Maybe someone's never worked at McDonald's and they have to write the POS software for the register, and oftentimes that ends up in a disaster because they don't know the whole flow and process. But because you guys are hosts yourself, you, for instance, this maintenance list, this is huge.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's the most important part, and the advantage that we have within this space now is that we really develop this product to make the most sense for all of the hosts in the STR industry. So we're solving real pain points, and we're definitely proud of kind of what we've built here. Um, there's a lot of other features that we've added since we started. It's a lot of automated smart templates, is what we call them. So I'll show you just a couple of those things. We don't have to dive in super deep into them, but smart templates is something recently that we've developed that is going to allow you to take into account the guest sentiment and any particular details about your reservations to allow you to target the right guest at the right time for really anything you want. So the possibilities are endless, but here are just some examples. So post-stay review request. A lot of times guests will ask for a positive review after their guest checks out and say, hey, we really enjoyed hosting you. We'd love to get a 5-star review. And if you have a guest who has had a negative stay, you don't want to ask them to go and give you a review because that'll probably just motivate them to go give you a bad review. So what we've done is basically there's this sentiment analysis condition, so you can choose to only send this message to positive or neutral guests. And that kind of, it's a strategy now where it's gonna, all of this is gonna happen automatically, but now you're avoiding having those bad reviews come in and potentially increasing your average. So here's the template that it's gonna send out down here. Customize it however you want. And then there's AI context checking and personalization. So it'll basically personalize the message before it sends out as well for the particular guest. And there's just so many cool applications now that we have with these smart templates. So
Well,
welcome
also
messages.
too, adding piggybacking onto that is because you can customize that, just like you would in your PMS. You want them to review it on the platform, but don't forget to throw a link to your Google, right? Your Google My Business page, and make sure to put a review there as well.
Exactly. Yep, and that's one thing that we're doing with these as well. I think that's becoming very important nowadays to make sure that your business is credited and it's shown on Google, that you have a bunch of 5-star reviews. If somebody gives you a 5-star review, you can copy that 5-star review into a template, basically send it back to the guest and say, hey, thank you so much for submitting this 5-star review. If you wouldn't mind putting it into the Google review as well, that would be much appreciated. And you'd be surprised how many people are willing to do that. So that's just another way to kind of improve the entire appearance, and public review of your business as well.
And like how you said that people are willing to do it, and a lot of people, you know, when they have a good experience, they always say, well, if they have a bad experience, they tend to tell 10 people. If they had a good experience, they tell one or two. But I definitely feel as though, especially if you're providing, it's not everyone's a vacation stay, but if they're going on vacation and you truly deliver the 5-star experience, people do these reviews and they don't blink. If you ask them, hey, can you copy and paste over to Google? They may copy and paste it. They may write a whole new one that's even longer. And you got to ask, right? If you don't ask, you're not going to get it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a great point. So yeah, there's a ton of things that you can do with this. There's probably going to be things that we see our users doing that we haven't even thought of, but these are a lot of our pre-built templates that you can go through and send out. And it's kind of just taking it a step further from the PMS and allowing you to really dive into the specific sentiment and the review that they've posted and the timing, and really just get creative with those things. So trash day, happy holidays, certain things like that are all really good things as well. And upsells is another one I kind of want to jump into, because this is something where if you're worried about paying any sort of money. If you're someone who just takes care of all the communication yourself right now, and you don't want to
Mhm.
pay anything extra to make your life any easier, and you're like, whatever, this is something where you can really capitalize on those upsell opportunities to completely cover and boost your revenue. So post-stay gap nights, pre-stay gap nights, and inquiry win-backs are what we call them. So a lot of times, if you have a minimum night stay, say it's a 2-night minimum for your properties, and
Mhm.
there's a 1-night gap in between two bookings that you can't book out because now it's less than 2 nights. You can automatically have HostBuddy send out a message to the guest that's checking out the day before, asking them if they want to extend their stay for potentially a discount. Or you can also reach out to the guest who is checking in the day after, asking if they want to check in a day earlier, and sell that to them. And you'd also be surprised how many people are like, "Wow, like I'm sorry, like I actually can't, but thank you so much for offering that." And it starts off the conversation very positively and shows that like you're offering these extra things to them. What we do is it's a 30% off of the stay, because if we're not going to book it at all, we'd rather get 70% of the cost than nothing at
Absolutely.
all.
Yep.
So similar situation here where you can tweak all the settings for the timing, offer whatever discount you want or no discount at all, and then send out the template. So, I mean, you can get hundreds and thousands of dollars per month. Like our users really benefit off of this one where it's totally paying for itself. Even from like the small $7 subscription that we have per listing, I mean, this is going to be boosting your overall
You
occupancy
had one night a
a ton.
month.
Hmm.
Forget about it, right?
1 night is all it takes. Yep, exactly. So those are our upsells. Inquiry winbacks are basically reaching back out to guests who had inquired but didn't fully book, just to make sure that you're at the top of their inbox and you're keeping that conversation live. So all these things are automated. They're things that you just set up once and you're good to go. It's really great. I love the upsells because there's a lot more that we can continue doing with these, to drive additional sales and boost revenue. And all of these things kind of fall into the category of improving the guest experience as well. So a lot of these smart templates, and in general, I mean, we all know it's a competitive market out there, so it's important now more than ever to make sure that you're treating your guests properly. They're getting a really fast response to any messages that they're sending, and overall, you're going to be able to increase your average daily rate by getting those higher reviews. So all of that, falls in together. It's been really cool. I know with my company in particular, after plugging in HostBuddy, since we created it, we've had I think it was a 4% increase in our 5-star reviews for communication metric, which is cool. We haven't gotten any other specific feedback yet, but in just a small portion of time, it's crazy. I mean, people just love to feel like they're supported.
You know what it is, Jay? And I talked about this in one of my videos about a year and a half ago. Is I talk about not communicating with your guests. I talk about over communicating with your guests, and I'm gonna diss half our audience here. All the guys, we suck at communicating. Okay, so if you're a guy out there and if you don't know it yet, you suck at communicating. So what you have to do is over communicate, and then when you over communicate, you'll find out that you're actually communicating at a normal level, because guys are kind of like yes, no, whereas women are more like yes, we can do that and do this and da da da, and we'll elaborate on that. And that's the thing about HostBuddy. You mentioned it beautifies the answer, and that's that 5-star experience. That's that warm thing that it gives you. And Jay, I mean, I'm sure you could agree with me on that. I mean, as guys, we sometimes don't always communicate properly.
Yeah, and there's something people call like the host burnout too, where if you're dealing with a certain situation and you just get tired of a guest asking too many questions, you're going to start getting pretty short with them, and AI is not going to ever feel that way, and it's going to respond super quick. So yeah, there's so many good advantages to it, and then it lowers your stress level because you're not dealing with all these things. It's a total enhancement to your experience as a host and then as a guest as well. So yeah, total game
And,
changer.
and one last thing I also do want to mention. So if a guest is reaching out through one of the platforms, Booking, VRBO, Florida Rentals, and HostBuddy goes ahead and replies back, is the guest going to know it's a person, or is it going to say answered by HostBuddy? How does that happen?
Yeah, so there's a few different ways that we go about that, and that's a question that we got a lot when we started designing the product. I'll go into my conversation preferences, so you can see kind of how we have this lined up here. So for different times of the day, you can change the defer behavior, and that's what we call basically how it describes itself or how it mentions itself compared to, like, for example, the hosting team or the actual host. So here's some examples. If we have defer to team on and it has a situation where it needs to go and give a notification to the host to maybe approve an early check-in, or give a specific response, it'll say, I'll have to check with the team and get right back to you, or something like that. Embody the host would be, I will check and get back to you. And that's basically just never revealing that it's anything other than the host. You can defer to host, which will say the host will assist once they're back online. Share a direct contact for the host at a specific phone number, or you can have it not respond. So during the day, since we have some people that can hop in and take over guest communication, we have it doing the do not respond, because that way, as soon as they get a notification that says, hey, there's an emergency at this property, HostBuddy it'll not respond, and then our team can jump in and take over from there. So that way they're only dealing with like 1 or 2 messages per day versus a million. So there's a lot of different ways that you can customize it. You can add a signature if you want, and some people like to be transparent about it and just say that they're using an AI assistant.
And that's what I want to make sure you pointed out, because you are going to have some people and say, hey, this was answered with whether you want to say HostBuddy AI or an AI chat. Please let us know how we did, or if you need a human response, let us know. Again, you've got the empowerment to do that.
Yeah, exactly. And there's this transparency feature as well. So you can just decide if it will ever even reveal that it's an AI. If somebody were to ask, like, are you an AI? Then, it would never say that. So, and a lot of times there's no reason for you to really communicate that information, especially if you have somebody else on the other side of it, where if there is a major issue, they're going to jump in anyway. There's message delay as well, to kind of make it feel a little bit more organic, if you wanted to make it vary between like 1 and 4 minutes for a response, so that it's not like instant, because sometimes that gives away the fact that it's an AI. But I think regardless, overall, people like just the really quick responses either way. So we try to do as much as we can to customize it here for you.
It's funny because one of the things I know with hosts, they want to get the alert as soon as the inquiry comes in. They want to be on there and respond right away. They don't want the chat to wait. So, and Jay, I appreciate your time, and I know there's so much more that goes to this, and guests can go in there, and there's a free trial, right, for a couple weeks, if I'm correct?
Yeah. So I'll go into our pricing so you guys can see how we have it set up. But excuse me. We have a couple different plans. So the HostBuddy Pro is basically all the core features, including the messaging and all of that. The Elite includes the manual message generation in the inbox. So if you're someone who kind of wants to take it slow at the beginning and make sure you can approve those messages, that could be a plan for you as well. So there's some of those additional insights are included in HostBuddy Elite, to kind of see when the messages are sent per day, what's your average guest sentiment, and things like that. So overall, it's pretty minimal difference from Pro to Elite as far as the pricing, but it is tiered to make sure that anyone with a high number of properties is not going to pay too much. So yeah.
Absolutely. And Jay, again, appreciate your time. Thanks for showing us just a fraction of this, but also clarifying my mistake of how you wanted to integrate. Because again, I try to get people off the platform and going direct, but you got to have platform people, right? Half our bookings, I know personally, are through the platform still, but half are direct. And as we get more to that realm with Vacation Home Mastery, this is where that chatbot built into that Crafted Stays website is going to be so vital. And again, I appreciate your time. And for everyone else out there, remember, we survive literally on your likes and subscribe. So click down below, comments, questions for Jay or myself. And remember, we're going to have instant booking coming up next week. So stay tuned and we'll see you then.
Thanks, Mark.